Down and 9, Eagles must get to the 35 for a first down. They keep it on the ground, and Sanders is still going in Steelers territory. The Pittsburgh native, Miles Sanders, takes it all the way with his mom and many friends in attendance here at Heinz Field. 74 yards for an Eagles score.
Wow, was not expecting that. You know, he doesn't get enough credit. Remember, he played with Saquon Barkley over at Penn State. Never really got the shine or the exposure, but look at that. He can go the distance, clearly has the elusiveness, the skills. I mean, that was a tremendous run. Then you look at the run blocking. Greg Ward over there. Look at that. Whiteside doing a great job blocking to the house. What a way to respond, too. His legs.
You saw Watt on the sidelines. Wentz
There's
throws.
Fulgham.
Touchdown, Travis Fulgham. Held at one point by 17. Pulled to within 2 here in Pittsburgh. Second and goal. Into the end zone is Claypool for a Steelers touchdown.
Chase Claypool running across. Same play that they ran about 4 or 5 plays ago in the middle of the field. He's running across the formation, and you see that it's too sudden for Malik Jackson. That the guy is on him too quickly, and we talked about this is a success that the Steelers are going to have, running laterally with these receivers, making it difficult for that D-line to...
All righty, and the Eagles take a tough loss, 38-29 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. 1-3-1. You know, welcome to the All About the Birds post-game live, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Myself and Phil are here to break it all down to you. Just make sure you hit that like button, share, retweet. Just a tough game. Yeah.
Someone's jumping in the picture there. It's all good.
Yeah,
it's a tough game. It's a tough breakdown. We got lots to dive into, lots to talk about.
Some positives,
comments in the comments section. What's that?
Some positives, some negatives,
Yeah.
but
definitely some negatives. You know, some positives as well. You know, we've got Steelers Nation checking in nonstop here already. You know, that's disappointing. But you know, there are a lot of positives, a lot of negatives. Pittsburgh's obviously a really good 3-0 team. But man, I mean, what was the biggest reason for the loss today? Was it Darius Slay not having a good game? Could we put Ertz to blame? Could we put the refs to blame? Could we put the bad announcers to blame?
oh
But
my God, they were awful.
I'm going to blame Jim Schwartz. And Jim Schwartz's awful defensive scheme that he's been running week in, week out, and it just showed tonight. And I mean, we could just pull out the one play at the end of the game. I'm not even going to blame Nathan Geary for that touchdown to Chase Claypool because he should never been on that spot or in that position there. So, you know, someone turned your lights out there. I mean, it's that bad. Lights are going out. You know, Nathan Geary should never have been in that spot. Jim Schwartz should have gotten a timeout there, something like that.
Why was there safety help?
There was nothing on the help there. Geary, that's all on Schwartz. So I'm going to blame Jim Schwartz. He is my main reason we lost this game, in my opinion. Not the Wentz interception, not Darius Slay, not anything else. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts? What's the number one reason we lost this game?
It's got to be the defense. At one point, I look and they show the drives for the Steelers, and it's touchdown, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, touchdown. They couldn't get a stop. And then when they punted it, it was the first time they punted since it was on the first drive, which is it's mind-boggling, and it's awful that you can't get a stop. And they were getting some pressure, but then it's called Pittsburgh's offensive coordinator. It's quick. Those quick little passes, which something that, you know, Jim Schwartz didn't adjust to. And we've talked about how Schwartz goes and says, you know what, I'm just going to go with what I got and go from there. And the same thing happened with the end arounds. Ray McLeod, Chase Claypool. they have all these receivers that are taking these end arounds, and no one's taking the proper angles. And yeah, it's just Chase Claypool is
the reason we lost. Anthony checking in on YouTube there. But it's not that Chase Claypool is the reason we lost. It's Jim Schwartz not developing or adjusting his game plan to stop Chase Claypool. You can't have Nathan Geary guarding him.
How many times?
It's not the way to do it. He's also saying the rest were terrible, which is true. The team stinks. I mean, I know we feel that way right now. And they played really good together, a lot better than the past few weeks, a lot of positives. Yeah. I mean, I'm not even worried about getting Jackson or Jeffrey back. I think we found our number one receiver in Travis Fulgham. The shallow cross has killed us. George, as always, checking in. Too many changes. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it has to come down to the defensive scheme. It has to come down to Jim Schwartz. Frank, I won't post your comments up there, but yes, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, we'll just hold from putting that one up there on the screen in case some kids are watching online somewhere. But yeah, Jim Schwartz blew this game, his game plan. What does the guy have to do to get fired? I mean, he's got
to have pictures of somebody. I don't get it.
Yeah, the clock's still running. That came down to the referees again. The referees definitely had a bad day today. They definitely messed up on a lot of calls. We're blaming Schwartz and his scheme, but we got to talk, if we're going to talk defense, that Darius Slay obviously did not have his best game as an Eagle. He definitely did not. I mean, he got hurt late in the game and didn't play the rest of the game. But that first half, I mean, the pass interference, the first one was probably a bad call on the ref's part, but the second one was straight him, and he was getting beat left and right.
Yeah, and he got hurt towards the end of the game, and then they had Craig James back in the game after he came off of IR. So, it's like I said, the pass rush just wasn't getting there because they were getting the ball out so quick. And the one thing I always thought to myself, there was a number of third and longs, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, a couple of longer third downs, and yet they're playing 6, 7, 8 yards off of the receivers. Well, when Roethlisberger's throwing those quick crossers and everything like that, and they're bunching their receivers, and Vilma did say it a couple of times, they bunch them so they can't play close, but they're letting the one guy go free, and it's just, Schwartz just didn't adjust, and it seems like it's an issue all the time. Schwartz not adjusting, and I don't know what needs to happen for them to hold somebody accountable and do something. But it's getting to the point where Schwartz just needs to go.
We've talked to Sticks D how it's got to go to death. I'm tired of talking about Sticks D, but all these little short dinks and dumps. What happened? Maybe play a little press coverage or something. Maybe jam these guys at the line of scrimmage. Do something. But yet Jim Schwartz, he just goes out there, does the same thing, game in, game out. It never stops. We were getting torched on third down. That's correct. It's because they just don't have a scheme. Someone commented there a few minutes ago, what is the scheme? Morris did on Twitter. There is no scheme. It's just 4 guys running forward and everybody else just sitting back there not doing anything. And, long live Jeff Warner. We miss you, Jeff. We did activate him from the PUP list. He's got 3 weeks to recover to get back on the show. He was really close to making it on today. He's at home at least. He will be back shortly. We can't wait to see him get back out there. Be good. And as Moritz is saying again on Twitter, we still control our schemes at 1-3-1. The division is still there. I did say on the pregame show, if we could take one of the 2 games against the Steelers and the Ravens, then we're still that's a good 2-game stretch. But now it means we have to beat the Ravens next week.
There will be fans hopefully in the stands, so you never know.
I mean, if we want to touch on something completely random and off topic of the game itself, I noticed a difference with the fans in there, especially after one of the touchdowns. I forget which touchdown it was. I wrote it down, but of course I can't find that note now.
One of the CLAYPOOL touchdowns?
Yeah, one of the Eagles touchdowns. You can hear the few Eagles fans chanting EAGLES after it. So it was just nice to see that, even with only 5,000 fans in a 60, 70,000 seat stadium, it was nice to be able to hear that fans, and even 5,000 fans, you still made a difference. Should we have went for it on 4th and 5 instead of the 57-yard field goal? I say yes, we should have gone for it. I mean, I always say go for it when it's 52, 51 yards or longer. because any 50-yard field goal is such a low percentage kick. You're down, at that point anyway. You might as well go for it. Also, I think the announcer said, I forget exactly what they said, but Heinz Field's record field goal is either 52 or 53 yards anyway. So the odds of that field goal getting made, he had the leg, it just wasn't straight. He pushed it out to the right a little bit. It's just a low percentage take. So I think you take your chances on fourth down there and go for it.
You have to. And that's the thing that Doug Peterson is known for, is going for it on fourth, yet he decided to go for that long field goal, which I even was like, that just doesn't make – it's not like the end of the game. It wasn't the end of the game. You still had –
there's still 5 or 6 minutes left. I say you go for that 4th and 5. It's definitely George checking in. The record is 53 yards. So a 57-yard field goal, even though he had the leg to get it there, the low percentage of that kick going through, it's not the smart play. You got a better percent chance of making a 4th and 5 than kicking a 57-yard field goal. So I think that was a letdown. Doug Peterson was a little bit aggressive from time to time, but that was a moment where he should have been aggressive, and he wasn't aggressive.
No, and that's the thing. Like, talking a little bit about the offense and Doug Peterson and like the play calls. The one thing that I noticed, Carson Wentz, he seemed to kind of. I know he made a couple bad. I don't think a lot of people. I was looking on Twitter. That was not a bad throw. Ertz just didn't run all the way through. The one.
Are you talking earlier in the game?
Earlier in the game.
Yeah. Ertz. Yeah, we could talk about Ertz for 10 minutes if you want. Ertz definitely has checked out mentally and physically. I was thinking about it right at the end of the game there when he missed the block on fourth down there. If Goddard wasn't hurt right now, I bet you Ertz is hurt and they're just running him out there because he's just not only is he mentally checked out, physically he's just not there. He's not running through contact. He's not, staying with the ball and staying on his route. I mean, that interception was 100% on Ertz, and that was only one of 3 or 4 plays where he just, he gets bumped and he throws his hands up like, what's going on? Instead just finish the play, then look for the penalty.
And the one thing that I noticed, the chemistry between Wentz and Fulgham seems to be there. He's throwing. I saw the stat: 10 catches, 152, and a touchdown. The last time they had a receiver with 10 catches was Jeremy Maclin in 2014. And what I want to see, the one thing I wanted to ask you is when Deshaun and Alshon comes back, and if they sit Fulgham down, I think you're going to have an uproar because if this kid's
absolutely.
And especially with Arcega-Whiteside getting the start, and then all of a sudden, quickly, he's phased right out because Fulgham took over that game. And it wasn't against schlubs. He was playing against Mike Hilton, who's a very good corner, Joe Hayden, who's a very good corner. So he wasn't playing against backups. He was playing against very good talent. So I think they may have found something with him.
Yeah, Fulgham should and will play. It's just a matter of whether he will be playing the snaps he is. I always wait till I get the official snap count and everything. But he'll still be out there. But Hightower today showed that he was a rookie. He doesn't track the ball perfectly yet. He's still got a lot of potential and showed some flashes. And Wentz was looking his way when there was opportunities. But Fulgham isn't a rookie. I mean, he's been in the league for a couple of years, obviously on the practice squad and all. So he's confident in himself. And that there's no way you could sit him. The problem is when Alshon and Deshaun Jackson come back, you still got Greg Ward. Does Fulgham become the 4th guy? Or are you just going to start running a lot of 3-4 wide receiver sets? I'm not really sure how that's going to go.
Yeah, and they were in the game, especially coming back, and
Yeah, I mean, if Jeffries come back, maybe you let him play a game and hope that you could trade him before the deadline. I don't know, but Fulgham needs to be out there. He obviously developed some great chemistry there. I did start him in a couple daily fantasy leagues this week, just so you know. So it's big points right there. Love it. I mean, it is what it is with the wide receivers. I don't know if you have do you have the stats up on your screen there, the game stats.
It's not loading for me.
No, it's fine. There was another thing on offense and defense that really played a big factor in this game, and it's penalties. I mean, I feel like this was the game. I haven't seen a game with this many penalties against the Eagles, and normally a pretty disciplined team get called like this.
Yeah, it was, and the thing was, like, that first one, like the Slay penalty, and there was a bunch, even that were called for the Eagles. It just seems like the refs just weren't. I just don't know what it was. It seemed the fans like come back, and all of a sudden, because the first couple of games the penalties really weren't that bad and that atrocious. But today it just seems like the Slay penalty, the pass interference, and then even that Claypool offensive pass interference. I just don't know if that was a little ticky tacky, may have been a makeup. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a bad. It was a bad call. Also, 100%.
And even the Brandon Graham face mask. They didn't show a replay really of it. But
yeah, I didn't see a replay of it showed. I wanted to see a replay of it because it obviously seemed like a bad call.
But, it's the tough part is, and we knew this from the start, that they were going to have to beat them through the air because the Steelers' run defense was so good. And you could see. Plus, Lane Johnson, we've said it how many times. He went out again, the Jason Peters, it seems like. Now it's him.
He does have a Jason Peters syndrome going right now.
Every single game. And it's just, it's tough when you have to have Jordan Mailata, who got beat towards the end of the game, and you have Jack Driscoll. And we said that one of our keys were this offensive line. I think it was Sam on the preview show said the key is to keep Carson upright. Protect Carson. And I think they did a decent job.
That's what I thought too. But Carson was knocked down 21 times today. So they showed it 2 to the last plays. It was 20 times knocked down. Then he got knocked down on that 4th down play. So I'm still trying to pull up the stats and all. But they showed it on screen. He was hit 21 times. So while the offensive line didn't look bad to the naked eye, they weren't protecting him. You get hit 21 times, so you're gonna feel the effects of that big time.
The penalty numbers, the Eagles had 9 for 84 yards, and the Steelers had 8 for 86 yards.
That's
so pretty even, but it's a lot of penalties.
It's a lot of penalties. And we're getting another check in here. Fire Jim Schwartz. We've said it like 4 times in 17 minutes already. Jim Schwartz has got to go. I'm putting the sole blame on him for this. We too is trash. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean, but yeah, we are trash. Our team is trash at this point. 1-3-1. It is what it is. Carson runs into hits. It's not all on the line. That is true.
He's trying to make too much out of nothing. He does that a little too much. But the other thing was looking at the rush. The rush numbers, look good and all, but they're not, because you take that 74-yard rushing touchdown away, you run 15 times for 20 yards.
Yeah, that's the other aspect of it right there. I mean, we weren't down much most of the game, so the fact we had 16 rushes compared to 36 passes. I know they have a really stout run defense, but you still got to run the ball a little bit, at least make an effort to, because then it sets up the passing game.
Yeah.
This is something we'll have to look at. Maybe we'll talk about it leading up to our next show, who we would let take over the defense. I'm not really sure at this point.
Marquand Manuel, the DB's coach. That's what I would give.
Well,
He's the D coordinator in Atlanta. That's my guess for in-season. But
we're also hearing Fire Press Taylor. Take play calling. We addressed this a couple times on previous shows. Yeah, keep coming in with the comments, everybody. We appreciate it. But as Brian Doc saying, the team wasn't in sync. The team hasn't been in sync all year. You just see it on play calls that there's no rhythm to the team. There's no rhythm on offense. There's no confidence in each other on offense or defense. But that, again, comes down to coaching, 100%.
Yeah.
You got Brian also saying the Steelers are for real. We were outmatched. But this was a close game for most of the game. And coming into this week, the Steelers had 3 games. They were 3-0. The combined record was like 1-9, 1-10 against their other opponents. They never scored more than 28 points yet this year, but yet we gave up 38 points. And we're supposed to have a much better defense than some of our, some of the opponents that they faced earlier this year. So I really expected a lot more out of the defense. Yeah, we're not benching Wentz. Sorry, we're gonna blow right through that comment. Can we fire Schwartz? That's like the 90th comment now in 19 minutes on that. Trade Ertz. We're going to talk about that actually in a few minutes, probably.
The big thing is Hurts did have his first completion. I thought that was an interesting play call.
Yeah, it was a stupid play call, honestly, at that point. When you're down, because I wrote that down. Hold on. It was 5:50 left in the game. It was 3rd down. We said it before. I said it before. You don't do trickery in the 4th quarter when you're down in a close game. You just don't do it.
Watching that play, Kelsey was next to Ertz over there, Kelsey was like twitching and jumping. I'm surprised they didn't call it
No
back
fair.
for false start.
Yeah,
But,
that's true.
you know,
That's definitely an issue there. I think I only saw Hurts out there for 2, maybe 3 plays again.
Yeah, he wasn't out a lot.
If you're not going to do it 7, 8, 10 times to get even Hurts in a rhythm, you just do away with it at this point. There's no point to it. And when I think it happened last week too. 2 of the 3 plays that Hurts was in there last week and this week were in the late crunches of the game. That's not when you start doing it. You do it in the beginning of the game when, you're still building up. So if a mistake happens, which Hurts fumbled twice so far this year already, not lost the fumble, but he's fumbled a couple times. You have time to recover from them. When you got 5 minutes left in the game in a close game, you don't do it at that point. It worked out. That was nice. It was a nice throw, wide open pass over the middle, but you just don't do that. It's just not necessary at that point.
No, and
he looked fast on one play, just so you know, and sharp on one play. It's a little too much to don't jump the gun on that there. Yeah, Geary on the field, period, is a mistake. Geary and Jalen Mills for MVP for the Steelers. That's probably who they're giving their game balls to in the Steelers locker room right now. What are our thoughts on the linebackers? I mean, we trash Geary nonstop. I mean, he's terrible. Singleton had a couple nice plays. He didn't look sharp every play today. But
Duke Riley led him in tackles today.
Yeah.
13 tackles. But
who did? Duke Riley?
Duke Riley.
Yeah.
He caused that.
To replace Doug. We're not replacing Doug, and we're not benching Carson. Hurts needs to be in more, and not at all. Exactly. I've been preaching that. You don't just run the trick. It's not trickery if you only do it twice a game. You can't get any rhythm or momentum. One play. Wentz is overrated. No, I'm going to stop putting those comments up there just so you know. No. We have linebackers. I don't know if we do or not. But, yeah, we do know the linebackers coach won't be the one to replace Jim Schwartz. I couldn't tell you who the linebackers coach was, but he's not the one to replace Jim Schwartz.
No, I hope not. But
I hope not.
It's tough because you don't have T.J. Edwards, who's their run-stopping linebacker. And I know he's not great, but he did well.
He's no world beater either.
No, but he's good against the run. So then when you have that, you put Gary. Gary was playing a lot of his snaps in the middle. And like I said, the one run for Connor, speaking of the linebackers, Gary comes in, gets sucked in by Pouncey, and then right outside the edge, Epps takes a wrong angle, and he goes 30-something yards. And that's another thing. I understand they don't have many with the injuries to the cornerback position and not having Mills playing safety, you have to play Epps more. But
yeah, Epps is trash. I mean, he had an awful game as well. You should have been getting Kayvon Wallace more snaps. I know Wallace was listed as the starter again. Again, I'd like to see the snap count at when they eventually get put out there, but it felt like he was never out on the field. Yeah. So anybody, real quick, before we keep going, anybody that's checking in and commenting, thank you very much. Keep the comments coming. We'll keep getting to them all, even though we're not benching Wentz or firing Doug Peterson yet. But if anybody's watching the post-game press conferences in the background also, drop me some comments on what Doug Peterson says when he addresses the media, and same thing with Carson Wentz. I can't watch both, so we'd really like to hear what some of those comments are from them.
Yeah, and I'm really actually I don't want to hear what he has to say, but not right now. But I mean, into the week, I really want to hear what Jim Schwartz has to say, because he's talked time and time again about being prepared, and they didn't look like they were really prepared.
No,
because
not at all.
And there's so many times you can say that until what I've said is the accountability aspect. You have to hold someone accountable, whether it's relieving him of his duties. I don't know, because they don't bench anybody on defense.
No.
Someone can be bad. They'll just keep putting him out there. And,
Doug Peterson lets Jim Schwartz. He's the head coach of the defense. He's not the defense coordinator. He gets the call who is put on the field. Doug Peterson needs to step up and be like, "Yo, Jim, no more Geary." He's got to hold Schwartz accountable for that.
Limit him, not playing him 100%, basically 100% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, Singleton made some nice plays last week. He made a few nice plays this week. But yeah, all of our linebackers on any 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 team would not be starting. Not one of our linebackers at this point.
No. And the other thing is, we're going to keep bringing it up because it's evident. It's Davion Taylor. You draft him in the 3rd round, and yet he doesn't sniff the field. And there's plenty of 3rd round linebackers and 4th round linebackers on on Sunday that I see that are making plays and are on defenses and are playing a lot. And Eagles just, you got the Alex Singletons and the Duke Rileys and the Nathan Garys, and you're not, Sean Bradley, who had one stop, but you have no depth, and it's almost like we're just preaching to the choir. It's just the same.
I feel like we're only 5 weeks into the season. I pretty much feel like every single post-game show is talking the same thing over and over again. And I can't understand how the coaches aren't seeing this and making adjustments and making changes out there. Because, obviously you can't pull Geary out to put somebody else in if you don't have anybody. But, we haven't even seen Davian Taylor. We haven't seen enough of these young rookies and young guys to know whether they can do it or not. You got to make some change. I know sometimes people will say you don't make change just for change's sake. But at this point, we've seen enough to know that Geary isn't doing the job. So you might as well put somebody else out there.
Why not change? Like I said, for me, it's why not change it up to maybe light a fire under the guy you're benching, to maybe, in those limited snaps that he has, plays a lot better than he's playing at 100% of snaps.
Yeah, how much worse can the second string be? I got you, Brian. It's the truth. I want to put out, we always are rag on Geary, and I'm going to do it again, and I shouldn't. But Jim Schwartz said last week that, in his press conference that, it looks like Geary's doing bad, but he's really playing good. We're blaming him for other people's, mistakes. There was early in the third quarter in the end zone, Jalen Mills, who we could touch on him and how bad he was if you want. He got called for passive interference in the end zone. Whoever can do it, I don't have a video of it right now, but watch that play back. Nathan Geary rolls out to the same side, and he's just standing there, guarding nobody. He literally is standing. He could have dropped 2 feet back, and maybe Mills wouldn't have had to make that passive interference, or he could have stepped 2 feet up and maybe put his hands up in Ben Roethlisberger's face. But he was literally just standing there doing nothing. And he's lost he's actually made a few plays in the run defense, but not enough to justify what he's doing out there in the passing game. Somebody needs to find that video. Maybe we'll find it after the show and we'll post it up on one of our social media accounts. But he's literally standing there with nothing going on. It's awful.
Yeah, and
Morris checked in again, simplify the defense. I think actually our defense is too simplified because Jim Schwartz runs the same defense, playing in and play out.
They don't blitz, and I really don't think I think maybe once they did that one blitz that didn't get home, and I don't know if they got a long pass or.
Yeah, they never actually call blitzes. It's our front four is really good. Yeah. It's just they're just getting pressure. If it's not a blitz when they're getting sacks, it's just the front four putting pressure just because no five offensive linemen can guard our 4 linemen, no matter which 4 are out there straight up. They're just that good at it. So there is no blitzing going on.
And for me, like watching the defense, and they're talking about, the Eagles came in number 1 in sacks, no longer number 1 in sacks, but they came in, we'll say right now, top 5 in sacks. You get that amount of pressure. You get that type of pressure, but then you look on the back end and just, you have Darius Slay. Rodney McLeod he's having a good season. It's kind of a, under the radar type of season, but he's having a very good season, but you just don't have anything else behind him. And it sucks because I think the problem is, I know you and I, because you grew up in the Buddy days. I grew up in the Jim Johnson era. Watching those defenses, and I know it's a different style of football than it is nowadays, but I miss that type of hard-nosed defense, the blitzing, coming out of nowhere, confusing the quarterbacks. There just is none of that with Jim Schwartz. He doesn't try and confuse anybody. And you can go and look at the numbers. Okay. Look at that.
Again, we still might be in first place after today. If this holds up. George checking in, Giants up 14-3. That's not a surprise.
Now, if you think the Eagles defense is bad, just go and watch that game for a little bit and see how terrible the Cowboys defense is.
Here, look at this comment from Morris. You're talking about those older defenses. This is key right here. We had Seth Joyner, Byron Evans, Willie Thomas, later on Jeremiah Trotter.
Carlos
we had
Emmons.
linebackers. We had who?
Carlos Emmons.
He wasn't a great linebacker. He was
a good linebacker.
He would be best on our team right now, but he wasn't that great. But yeah, Jeremiah Trotter, Willie Thomas.
But the thing is, when other guys left, they would sign proven veterans, Sean Barber, Levon Kirkland. I know Levon Kirkland wasn't great, but
he was good at the run game, but they pulled him out on third down, and when it was a passing play, he wasn't on the field.
Yeah, but they would sign guys like that, and then later on and then it went into I don't really care too much about linebackers. They're expendable. You don't really need them. Which, if you look,
you still need linebackers.
And like you said, look at all these undefeated teams, and look at their defense, and look at strictly their linebacker play, and you can name at least one guy who's very good.
I mean, Johnny will disagree that the best defense was 05. He'll say 91 was the best 91. Defense, and I may agree with him on that. But yeah, the 05 defense was pretty stout. Yeah, I mean, we could talk about it. So we want to keep talking defense. We'll get into offense a little bit more in a few minutes. But Jalen Mills, obviously another week playing poorly as the cornerback 2. Hopefully Maddox is back soon because it's, obviously not working. It didn't work the last couple of years with Mills as cornerback. It's not working now. He wasn't working as a safety either. If just say hypothetically, Maddox comes back next week, which I don't think he's ready to come back, and Will Parks comes back, whichever week they do, where does that leave Mills? I mean, I know I've said Will Parks isn't a starter, but if you're going to rotate 2 or 3 safeties out there with Epps and Kayvon Wallace and even, Willie Parks, if Maddox is back at cornerback 2, that really leaves Mills off. And that's actually okay because he's just not meant for this. Now, Jalen Mills might get cut or get traded eventually or move to another team, and he might succeed, kind of like Rasul Douglas. Sidney Jones had an interception today for the Jaguars.
Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, Nelson Aguilar. A lot of people do that. But it's because he doesn't fit the scheme that we're running. He's not a one-on-one cover corner.
And the things are
he shouldn't have been brought back. Can Mills play linebacker? He can't be any worse than a line, and then he has that quarterback. Scotty checking in more livid. I mean, yeah, I'm right there with you, Scotty. We're both livid right now because this falls on the defense. Wentz, we can transition shortly into the offense, but Carson Wentz played. I know he had 2 more picks today, but he played really well considering the situation, going up against a great defense and stuff like that. So it's extremely frustrating.
And, speaking about the defense, you look at Jalen Mills and you look at a guy like Will Parks, and these guys are on 1-year deals, and there's no guarantee they even come back next year. So, yeah, them showing really them not showing you anything. Parks can't even get on the field because he's still hurt, and Jalen Mills, not playing very well. They're playing themselves out next year, and you're going to have a whole changing of the guard, basically.
It's going to be tough for them to even find jobs next year. Well, let's transition to offense. I mean, we're going to bash the offense or the defense all we want. Hold on. We got a couple more defensive comments here. Schwartz is a fraud. What has he done? He gets torched. Yeah, I mean, he's met. Yeah, I mean, that post says it all, for sure. Defense wins. Buddy's defenses were awesome. Yeah, we need it. Yeah, I mean, we're missing the Malcolm Jenkins, Brian Dawkins leadership on that defense. Absolutely. So yeah, that is true. Wentz did not play well. Let's transition into this. We got to start right here. Sorry. I know you got a thought, but he did play well. He made good reads on the ball. The interception was on Ertz, that first interception. The other interception was more of a punt, like the announcer said, one of the few smart things they said. He didn't play an excellent Wentz's elite type game, but he played so much better than he has in previous weeks. He was finding the open receiver. He actually showed us some chemistry with some of these young guys today. I think he made a lot of great decisions on the field today, and I think it showed. I think he played a great game today. We got some people agreeing with me. He played well. Let's see what else we got here. He did not lose us the game, but a long play from there, I don't know. Scotty agreeing with me, checking he played well. The line played better. I don't know. They played okay, considering how inexperienced they are. The face mask, we still can't find a video of the Phantom face mask call, to be honest with you. But, yeah, I mean, what do you think of Wentz's performance?
I thought Wentz played – I think he played well. He didn't –
compared to the rest of the season. Not compared to previous years, but compared to the rest of the season, he played well.
Yeah, he played well. The nice throw to Greg Ward in the corner of that end zone. Travis Fulgham and him seemed to have a connection. He was making those throws. And, the thing was that with no run game, and it had to be all on Wentz, and you're going up against a defensive line and defense like the Steelers with that patched up offensive line. For me, Wentz 20 of 35, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, his rating was only 75.7 just because of the 2 interceptions. The one basically was a Hail Mary punt, like we said. Yeah. But, talking about – after we talk about this Wentz, I have an Ertz thing. I know you have to touch on it too. We'll have to get into that. But what do you think about Wentz? How do you feel going forward? This game can kind of, I know they lost, but.
So here's an interesting thought. I was just bringing up, because I brought the stats up too on my phone. He threw the ball 35 times, and obviously he had a great connection with Fulgham going. He had 13 targets to Fulgham and all. But the thing is, most games he zeroes in on just Ertz and just like one other guy, whether it's Fulgham or Greg Ward normally and everything. But he targeted Hightower 6 times. He targeted Ertz 6 times. He targeted Ward 5 times. That they are things that actually, he's spreading that ball around a little bit more, which is when he was at his best, was when he was not thinking and throwing it to all the different targets that he had out there. So I'm really impressed with that. I mean, Hightower, missed that catch in the end zone, and I would love to say that it was a tough catch, but he needs to make that play. And that's
His
where he's a
hands were
rookie.
like this when it should be
It's
like
because
that.
he didn't see the ball.
Yeah.
He didn't see it. Because we saw it on 2 or 3 plays today. He does not track the ball when it's in the air well. But that's a rookie mistake. But it didn't Carson didn't lose confidence in him. He kept going to him multiple times. The actual thing that I want to see more out of Wentz in the passing game is the passes to Miles Sanders. He seems to miss a lot to him. But then he doesn't look his way. He sails a whole bunch to Sanders. He did it again today. But he doesn't look his way at all. Miles Sanders can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's a fast enough, shifty enough running back where he had 4 targets today, but only had 2 catches for 19 yards. He is definitely someone that needs to get the ball more. If you're not going to hand him the ball 11 carries today, you better start getting the ball out of the backfield. You find a way to do it, whether it's the screen game, the swing pass. I saw about 3 plays today that he was on a swing route, or the Jets, whatever you want to call that, out and up and all.
Yeah,
wide open, and Wentz didn't even look his way.
and that's the other thing. I don't know if you realize it, but watching the Steelers screen game and watching the Eagles try and run a screen,
2 different worlds.
Oh my God!
Night and day.
And we're so used to Andy Reid's screen, and how even earlier in Peterson's coaching career, they ran the screen really well. They can't do anything. The one was thrown right at Ertz's feet. It just seems like there's no continuity with the screen. I don't know if Wentz isn't selling it right. I don't know if they just can't get the defender. I don't know what it is, but they just can't get a screen, because if you can't get the screen game going, I feel like that's another wrinkle to the offense that could absolutely help Wentz get in a rhythm, going quick, being able to get those easy 5, 6, 7, 8 yards, all depending. But they just can't run a screen. Even to Miles Sanders, let him get out in space, and they just can't do it.
I left this comment up on the screen. Frank White checking in. He's checked in a bunch today. It's great. Thank you very much. Can we get a healthy right tackle or left tackle? We've addressed the right tackle. Lane Johnson has got Jason Peters syndrome. He definitely has to get healthy. He hasn't been right all year. They say that they drained like a bunch of fluid out of his ankle this week and all. But actually, I want to talk left tackle, Jordan Mailata. I said it coming into this week. If he stayed the same and performed as equally as last week, that was a step forward, because last week's front 4 was a lot different than the front that we were facing this week against Steelers. And yes, Carson got hit a bunch, and there was pressure in his face, and we had no run game today. But that's more Pittsburgh than the offensive line. I thought Jordan Mailata, there were a couple plays he got blown up, but again, his second start in the NFL, to not give up that was a game that had Winston Justice 9 sacks, given up, or whoever it was, written all over it. And they held their own, and Jordan Mailata held his own. Pryor didn't play bad. Herbig didn't play bad when he was out there. Jack Driscoll, a little rough filling in for, Lane Johnson. But
you're going against TJ Watt.
Yeah, exactly. I did not think Jordan Mailata at left tackle played bad. I think he's earned the last 2 weeks the right to pretty much be designated our starting left tackle moving forward, even when Peters comes back.
I would agree. And, if to me, I know they're not going to do it, but if Peters comes back, why
yeah,
not?
They're going to put him back out there. We know that, but they shouldn't.
I'd rather see him at right guard, honestly. But
we haven't seen him at right guard yet, so we don't know what he could do there. But he's obviously a step slower, so maybe that's a better spot for him. That is what it is. But yeah, let's talk Zach Ertz real quick. On the offense. I mean, we've talked a bunch this year about Ertz or Goddard moving forward. Do you trade either of them? What you do? He obviously wants. Keep in mind, a lot of it was against Dupree. Yeah, I know, but Dupree is still a really solid defensive lineman. What do we do with Zach Ertz moving forward? Because obviously the contract issues and the demands, he wants a new extension. He wants to be paid like Kittle and Kelsey. He's obviously not performing like it. So what do we do? Do we trade him? He has no trade value with the way he's played the last couple of weeks. He's zapped it all away. Can you keep running him out there? I mean, what is there that the Eagles coaching staff or Carson Wentz can do to get in his ear and get him motivated to play like the all-pro tight end he is and should be?
You know, if they get Deshaun back and they get Alshon back and they have Fulgham start breaking out, you have Goddard come back in maybe another couple weeks. But even before that, if you get Jackson and Alshon back and he still doesn't look right, slow off there, and just doesn't – I really don't know what you do. To me, I don't think he gets a contract extension. I don't think he's going to be here for the future. He hasn't earned it. And I think they've made that decision already. I think he knows it, whether he's been told that or he just feels that's going to be the case. But I know he doesn't have much trade value. He may be able to get you a later round pick, like a 4th round or something. But that's still
honestly at the beginning of the season, before this season, people were talking you get a 1st round pick for him. You look at the deal. Who made the trade? Was it Cleveland made the trade or Atlanta made a trade for a tight end in the offseason?
Pick Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, and Ertz coming this season was considered much better than Hayden Hurst. Yeah. So there's no doubt in the mind that you could get a 1st or a 2nd for Zach Ertz. But now the way he's playing, if you got a 3rd at this point, they'd be considering it a steal. I mean, obviously you can't get rid of him with Dallas hurt and stuff like that. But, I mean, he's walking himself right out of the city. I mean, the effort, you get slightly bumped and you don't finish your routes. Even if that ball wasn't intercepted, there were other plays today that he did the same exact thing. He just quits on plays. And that is so unlike him. And I'm really surprised that his mental mindset isn't strong enough to handle and play through the outside distractions like this, because he's been somebody that's played through injuries, played through contact, played through triple teams before, and he's not making the effort today. It's really pissing me off right now. It's actually right up there with Schwartz in the level of frustration right now.
Is it as big a frustration as watching Gregory Ward get 3 yards per catch?
I mean, again, he had a touchdown. Great. Good for him. You know, he's a really good number 4 wide receiver, but the guy gets no separation.
But, you know, to me, I want to see Fulgham and Wentz keep that chemistry going, see what they can get out of him the next couple of games. Let him keep playing, because if you find something in him to wind up being, you know, one of a top target for years to come with Wentz or whatever, if you can find something out of that, keep going to it, because they need to find some playmakers. You know, you have a Fulgham, and then say, you know, when Jalen Reagor gets back, and you have guys, Alshon, if he's showing you something, but, you know,
and obviously Ertz is getting double teamed a lot. It's obvious, you know. But now next week,
he's been double teamed
they're going up against the Ravens, another good defense. Yeah. You know, they're going to have all of this game's game film. Fulgham's not going to be wide open the whole game. No. So does that mean that Ertz gets more opportunities in the middle of the field? I don't know. I actually feel like Alshon and Djax were really close this week to playing. So I think actually at least one, if not 2 of them, are back next week, which definitely changes things a little bit. But again, you know, Ertz needs to mentally stay in the game and not let the little things frustrate him. I mean, obviously he's hurt, beat up a little bit, but, you know, he's got to do a better job.
Yeah, and like any little contact, like you said, he stops, throws his hands up, wants a flag. Fight through it, put your arms out there, catch the ball, or try to make a catch, or do something. It's just he just looks checked out. Looks.
I mean, not 2 years ago when he had like 400 catches, whatever it was, you know, NFL record, you know, for a tight end for a season. He got plenty of games. He was getting bumped off the line of scrimmage, and he played through them. You know, he's 31 years old. He wants that big deal. He's not playing like someone that's going to get that big deal.
You know, I was going to ask you. That's what. You
know, Dan checking in. The coaching staff doesn't call out any of their players or assistant coaches for poor performance. There's no accountability. This is Brett Brown's Sixers level of lack of accountability.
And the thing is, watching Ertz, and I don't want to say it, but to me, is his body breaking down at that? You know, he's 31. He's taken a lot. He's played a good amount of football. He's taken a lot of big hits. I just don't know is he. So
I'm going to make a quick on the spot comparison. Totally different players, but kind of the same skill set. Jason Witten, you know, he played the same kind of role. The get chipped all the time, the over the middle plays and all with the Cowboys. and he's still playing 38 years old. So if he could do it, same guy, he's slower than he once was, but he's still out there making plays. So, Ertz what is Ertz, 30 or 31 right now? I think he's 31, right?
I think he's third. I thought it was
30, 31, whatever he is. I mean, hypothetically, he should want to be playing for 5 more years, 6 more years at least. Whether he's hurt or not, he's a big body guy. He's got to be able to take that contact, play through it, and not let the outside distractions get in the way. And that's really what it comes down to. He is mentally checked out because he wants to be paid. The Eagles don't want to pay him. And, again, like George said a few moments ago, you're not going to trade Ertz midseason because of the injuries. I agree. We're not going to trade him, but it's a thought process that needs to at least be addressed, because right now what is he doing on the field right now that Perkins can't do, or Butler, or who was the other guy that they called up, Kroom? What do you have? 2 catches today, Ertz, or 1 catch?
1 catch for 6 yards.
I mean, everybody else, all the other tight ends could put a 1 catch up there on the board. So, he's not actually doing anything that's actually making a positive influence on this team.
And one thing I want to go a little bit off, I just want to bring it up. Talk about the other NFC East. The Giants are winning 14-3, and the Redskins, I said it, the football team lost today. But the biggest news, and I want to bring it up just because it's
George is saying that he's only 29, so even younger. So there's even less reason for him to be the way he is right now.
But Alex Smith, after an injury to Kyle Allen, played. And I just wanted to bring up real quick.
Everybody knows we've talked about Alex Smith on this show a bunch. I'd love to hear his stats if you've got them. I had a very similar injury. I've talked about it here before. I had the really bad leg break in college playing a pickup game of football. The fact that he was even allowed to dress for a football game, it's a huge inspiration to me, for sure.
He was 9 of 17 for 37 yards.
Yeah, so nothing spectacular. He hasn't played football in 2 years.
6 times. So
man, that's a rough welcome. Obviously means he might, without seeing the highlights, he wasn't healthy like he used to be to run away from the pressure, because he was definitely a underrated running quarterback and mobile quarterback.
But it's a heck of a story. But, getting back on Ertz, Ertz looks like...
I mean, this is actually a good comment. He looks like Gronkowski. I mean, I'm guessing Grinds mean Gronkowski there, Garrett. Worn out and hurt. That is exactly how, Rob Gronkowski looked last year as well. And Gronkowski looked checked out mentally as well last year. So that's a really good, really, really good comparison there. And even though Gronkowski came back this year, he's not the same player that he once was.
He's not a focal point. And that's the thing, do you pay, to pay Ertz that money and then, him not give you the type of production that he's been? It's just, it's something that makes you really think. And, what's this team going to look like? That's the big reason I say let these young guys play. I know Alshon and Deshaun's coming back, but, if you get like a breakout game, let them ride the hot hand. Let them keep going. Let them, grow with Wentz, grow with the confidence. And I know you have a tough game next week with Baltimore. And we do need Goddard. We need Goddard because he gives you that extra dimension in the middle of the field.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind now, after the way he's performed mentally, not just physically, but mentally the last couple of weeks, that this team moving forward is going to move forward as Dallas Goedert as their number 1 wide receiver. I mean, in my mind, they don't like it when players check out like that. He's going to be moved at some point, whether it's this year or in the offseason, no doubt.
Yeah, and
we stand a chance against the Ravens. I mean, we'll break down the Ravens game more in depth on our week 6 preview show on Wednesday night. But I mean, I said we had to win 1 game out of the next 2. We lost today, so we got to win. I mean, I didn't see the Ravens game. They smoked the Bengals, which killed every single one of my parlays and teasers. The Bengals plus 13 or 12.5, whatever it was, and the over-under in that game was my number 1 gambling play of the week, and I got crushed on it this week. So I don't know. I got to see what they did. But I think we could stop the Ravens. I think we could play. Their passing game isn't that stout. And Mark Ingram isn't run the ball like he did last year. So, it's going to come down to linebackers and scheme on defense, which is a big issue. But, we'll see about that. I know they got to a Super Bowl, but they take the blunt of the blame. But I've put blame on Wentz this year. I've put blame on Doug. I've said Doug needs to lose play calling, and they need to be held accountable for not holding Jim Schwartz accountable on his defensive side too. So there's a lot of blame to go around. It's just up to everybody to gut check, look in the mirror, and know that they need to make different decisions on the coaching, on the play calling, on the decisions on the field. There's no doubt about it. I agree with you, George. Yeah, it's definitely mental. It is for sure mental. There is wear and tear. He has taken a beating, not as much as Gronk, but he has taken a beating. But the mental aspect of it also hurts you in preparing your body. If you're mentally checked out, you're going to feel hurt more. You're going to feel tired more. You're not going to recover as well from the big hits and stuff. Just need to stop Jackson next week. Yeah, that's the only play. But that's where linebackers come into play. And our linebackers we know are complete trash. So, that's not good. We don't have Malcolm Jenkins to spy on either. So, Giants are now up 17-3. That is huge. I don't know what's up with the Cowboys this year. The Cowboys are just an awful first 3.5 quarter, 3.5 quarters of the game team.
The other thing I just saw, too, was Miami was up on San Fran 21-7. So, and like I said, this year is, 2020. It's crazy. You can't really.
There's a lot we got to talk about Wednesday night, about all the schedule rearrangements and all that. Yeah. But, he brought it up, moving forward, can we win against the Ravens? It's going to be a close call. It's going to be another close game. But the coaching staff has to really watch the tape from this week and really look themselves in the mirror on who they're playing, what plays they're running on offense and defense. And when people get healthy, the little rhythm we've got with Fulgham and Wentz into, not change it up just to put the vets back in there, keep coaching these guys up. But it's got to be, you got to put, who used to say it all the time, Andy Reid, I got to put my players in a better position to win. I know it sounds cliche, but they're not putting the players in the right spot to win.
And the thing is,
winning 10-7 up against the Colts right now. That's a good update. That's supposed to be a good game. I'm ashamed that's not on TV right now.
And the thing with Baltimore, with your defense, playing against a team like Baltimore who runs, with Lamar Jackson, with all the running backs they have and the tight ends they have. But the biggest thing is staying in your lane. You get out of your lane, they're gone for a touchdown. And that's the one thing that we've talked about time and time again about keeping focus, being focused on defense and not letting, it happened this week with all the receivers, Ray McLeod and, like I said, Claypool and everything, and keeping your lanes and keeping your eyes on the certain people, because once you get out of it, they're on for a big run, and the Ravens will do that to you, and they'll gash you, for touchdown.
This comment by Gino, I do want to address it. Wentz last week, he did learn last week to throw the ball away a little bit. He did not do that today. That's probably where he made the biggest mistakes. He was holding on the ball too long. He did expect, by holding on to it too long, he was able to extend a few plays. But on the flip side, some of those plays that he held on too long, he took some sacks on. He needs to make a better decision running the ball better, though, or making on the run better decisions. He needs to just move, though. That's the thing. Like, he's not on the run enough. Doug Peterson still is not calling those rollouts, those move the pocket type plays that he's known for. So I think that's more on Doug's play calling than Carson Wentz's decision making there.
They have to cater more
to Brian checks in on the gimmicks. Yeah, we've already talked about that. The gimmicks, either you got to do it more or you got to do it less, but you definitely have to stop doing it in the crunch moments of the game.
And the thing is, other teams run these gimmicks and run these receiver runs and everything and make these big plays. Eagles try to do it, and it seems like it's like elementary football. They're not getting anywhere, and that's the other thing that's frustrating as a fan. But what Garrett said here, they need to get Wentz to roll out instead of staying in the pocket with the RPOs. Exactly, they need to go to his strengths, work around what he does best, and that's what they did with Foles with the RPO. Is they went kind of catered around him. Why not cater your offense around what Wentz can do?
It's not even the rollout. It's the RPOs. The few times this year, I'm not the stat geek. I don't have every stat in front of me all the time, but I would love to see how many times this season they've run a natural RPO, like a real RPO. And because it seems like to the eye test, the few times a game they run the RPO, it's pretty successful. And they definitely need to do that more. The rollouts, that's tough with rollouts because if your offensive line's not protecting perfectly, you open up your quarterback to get hit big when he turns around on that rollout. But the RPOs need to be done more. That is for sure. And George's comment, this is going to be a killer next week.
Yeah, that's true.
LJ Fort, that is one that, just think we could have LJ Fort instead of Nathan Geary right now.
And they let LJ Fort go because they wanted a compensatory pick.
Yeah. Yeah, you love your compensatory picks too, don't you?
Not for LJ Fort.
Yeah. 6 I count. I don't know if that's 6 today or 6 overall this season. It's probably 6 today, but you had 50, 60 plays today on offense probably. 6 RPOs is not enough. they need to be doing that. I mean, I think they ran more RPOs with Sam Bradford as a quarterback. 6, she's checking in 6 total this year that he's counted. Sorry, I'm looking at other comments too here. 6 RPOs total this year. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it definitely seems like it's not enough. I mean, Sam Bradford was running RPOs and with success. A run pass option. People think that RPOs just instantly mean your quarterback's running the ball. That's not what it means. Yeah. It's a run pass option. You either hand it off to Sanders or you pass the ball. It doesn't mean Carson has to run the ball more, and that's the big problem right there. They're not doing that enough, and the few times they've done it, it has been successful.
And I just want to go off of. I know they lost, but I want to do a player of the game. If you want to give your player of the game,
so he's saying that George is checking in. So you're not right on that. That he traded them away, not let him go, but still, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. It's not on Howie. I kind of agree with you on that. But the GM still can make some decisions there and overrank the coaches if they really had any power. Well, you're saying players of the game? I mean, you got to go with Fulgham, don't you? I mean, he obviously had a breakout game today. But honestly, I'm going to go Carson Wentz. I'm still not bringing back the hashtag or anything like that.
Don't say it.
Carson played well. He kept this team in the game. But, George is saying Ford had 0 snaps before he was traded. Yeah, it's just a bad overall job by the team as a whole, evaluating talent, signing the right talent, drafting the right talent, trading for the right talent. There's so much that can go wrong. But, yeah, I'll say Carson Wentz. I know you want to say Fulgham or somebody else. So I'll say Carson was my player of the game because he definitely kept us in this game as long as he could today.
And I said, you're right. I was going Fulgham on that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a little bit of a Fulgham, and I'm going to give it to the Steelers CLAYPOOL. CLAYPOOL 4 touchdowns.
Oh, I thought we were just talking Eagles here.
Well, I said I'm going to group them together just because these young guys, and you have all these other players around like the Juju Schuster and Zach Ertz and Miles Sanders, but Travis Fulgham, 10 catches, 152 yards, and a touchdown, and they weren't cheapy catches. He went up and got a couple of them right at the top, high point in the ball, making great catches and running great routes.
We lost. So Brian checking in wants to know who the bum of the game, not who the star of the game is. I think that's a good. I think Brian brings up a good point there. Who's your bum of the game? Because there are a lot to choose from. George checking in, McLeod played out of his mind. He did actually I wrote his name down 3 or 4 times with stars next to it. He definitely made a lot of good plays today. He's just not the emotional leader that Jenkins or Dawkins is, and that's what we're missing on that defense, along with a million other issues and all. But who's the bum of the game?
All right, so the bum of the game. I'm going to have to give the bum of the game. I'm going to have to go Jalen Mills. I was going to go Nate Gary, but it seems like that's every single game.
Yeah.
But Jalen Mills, a couple of tackles missed, and playing off the one big catch to Schuster, he played way off, backpedaled all the way because I don't think he wanted to get beat on a double move. But I'm gonna have to go Jalen Mills, unfortunately, with that.
Yeah. I mean, it makes. I'm going to agree with Morris checking in again. Again, everybody, thanks for checking in. I appreciate all the comments and the questions and stuff. I'm going to go the coaching staff, specifically Jim Schwartz. I mean, his game plan has been atrocious week in and week out. We won last week despite him. You got to go Schwartz. You got to go the coaching staff, the game plans, 100%. George is saying Mills as well. D coordinator is the bum. Yeah, I mean, he is 100% the bum of the game. It all boils down to, I mean, there's a lot of points of the game that we lost the game on, but leaving Geary in there at that moment, at the end of the game, the guard Chase Claypool one-on-one when he's already got 3 touchdowns. Call a timeout if you're mismatched. Yeah. Don't even have him out there to begin with, but call a timeout. Get him off the field. There's no reason for that play to happen. And we stop them on that play. They kick a field goal instead of a touchdown. The game, instead of 9-point win, it's only 6, or 5 or whatever the math is. Math was never my strong suit. Sorry. I tried to do math. 5 points. All right. I figure it took me a few seconds to get the hamster rolling up there. You call a timeout. We're still in the game. And then maybe you're not pressing so much on that last offensive drive, which ended in another interception. It is what it is. But Jim Schwartz has got to do a better job with these defensive players. It's awful. So he's a bum of the game, of the season thus far.
Exactly. And, we've said it.
We're going to
time
make
and
that a
time
regular
again.
segment, the bum of the game.
I like that. But, we say it time and time again. You've said it and I said it. It's getting to a point of I'm getting tired of keep having to say the same thing again and again, especially with Jim Schwartz. Not being able to focus yourself enough to be able to make adjustments during the game, which he doesn't do. He just keeps rolling, just keep rolling my game plan. Hopefully it'll work because I studied for it. No, it doesn't work that way. You need to be able to adjust. The Steelers, after that first drive, saw the pressure and everything. They adjusted right away. They started doing different things. Jim Schwartz just decided to keep rolling with what he wanted to do. And at one point, they scored on every single possession. Basically, long drives, touchdown. And yeah, Jim Schwartz doesn't set the trends.
No, he does not. Tori checking in. She's stealing my set the trends hashtag now. Get off my screen, Tori. Don't steal my hashtags. Last 2 games, Ertz has 15 yards on 11 catches.
Greg
Yeah, I mean, bum of the game. I mean, it's a bad job there. Yep, no adjustments. You give Doug a pass for Super Bowl, but not Schwartz. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Doug Peterson's leash is a little bit longer. So is Carson Wentz's. But Howie and Jim Schwartz's leash should be getting pulled back a little bit. I mean, there's got to be more talk about that. I mean, we talk about it on All About the Birds all the time, but not enough people around the area are talking their leash being cut enough.
Yeah. And, just a couple of people I know, I just want to, give a couple of shout outs. One at Last Out Media. We stream on their site, lastoutmedianetwork.com. At Heat Ratio Sports, Tony and the guys are great. At Athletes Hub. But you can follow us. I don't know about
leave it up there. Just keep going.
And Phil's going to do his little pump in.
No, I'm not saying anything. I'm just holding it up,
But,
no need for a commercial tonight.
Follow us, All About the Birds, our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, just like you're watching over here. Smash those like buttons, tweet, retweets. Always send us a question, anything like that. Even if we're not live, always, give us a question. We're running videos. If there's any videos you want to see, old-time videos, don't hesitate to send some messages. But you can follow Phil at Beard of Knowledge, all his great takes and his set the trends. You can follow myself at JohnnyU9322. You can follow Jeff Warner at Jeff Warner NFL. He will be back on. Don't worry. He's just we're just getting him healthy. But
just getting better. So that's a good thing.
He's getting better. But that's we're happy he's back home and everything. But
and we're getting all the jokes in here at the end of the show here.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's a tough loss. But
yeah,
don't forget to check us out on Wednesday night.
9:15 live as always.
9:15 live on Wednesday. We'll be breaking down the Ravens. Hopefully, we'll get Jeff on the show with us. Hopefully, he's good enough to come on and join us. Get his Spazzy Jeff, like people like to call him. Get him back on the show. But we want to thank everyone commenting, everyone listening.
Tori is just on fire all of a sudden here.
I don't know who comes back first. We're gonna have to. We'll have to check our team doctors over at All About the Birds, see what they say. But as I said, we thank everybody. Hopefully, we can come back and break down a great Ravens preview for you on Wednesday night. But the other thing we do when we finish the show, we end it with some Go Birds.
Go Birds.